Okay, so we're doing an IELTS Task 1 essay. So our pattern, we're analysing figures based on this bar chart. Okay, and our topic, the table below shows the figures for imprisonment in 5 countries between 1930 and 1980. Write a report for a university lecturer describing the information shown below. You should write at least 150 words. Okay, so let's take a look at our information. So we've got 5 different countries. Okay, we've got the rate in thousands of prisoners, and we've gone for a 50-year period between 1930 and 1980. So the first thing let's do is that let's take a look at a couple of the different countries' trends. Let's start with Great Britain. Great Britain, you can be orange. And so let's just take a look at what's happening. Okay, so we can see, so here for Great Britain, I would say gradual increase. Okay, and let's swap out our colour. And then for Australia, okay, we've got mild fluctuation, and we've got this big drop. So I definitely think we want to talk about this drop here, this significant decline. And let's take a look at New Zealand. New Zealand, you can be green. Oh, they're not making this easy for us, are they? Okay, so we've got drop, then level off. Okay, so it kind of goes down and then it goes up a bit. It's not very consistent, is it? So making it a little bit tricky. Let's look at United States. Ooh, so we've got like a big fluctuation. Okay, and big increase. And then let's take a look. Canada. So you've got a gradual decrease. Okay, so once you've taken a look at to see what all these different countries are doing, you've got to kind of think about what are your similarities and differences and how are you going to group the information. You only need to talk about 2 or 3 trends. You don't need to talk about every single figure and every single thing that each country's amount did, but predominant trends. So the first thing I know that I want to talk about is I want to talk about the UK because we had this increase. Okay, I don't think many countries increased. Big fluctuation, gradual increase, drop and level off, mild fluctuation, then drop. So I think maybe only Australia and maybe only the United States had more at the end than when they started. Yeah, so UK increase plus USA. So I probably group them together. And my comparison for them is that they're both increasing. So, however, while Britain is like a more gradual increase, the United States is like a big fluctuation. Okay, and then in my second body, I probably want to talk about, we've got Australia's got this up and then down, and then we've got this level off. So I probably want to compare Australia and New Zealand together. Okay, where they've both got this kind of, so looking at the red and the green, so they both kind of got this curve downwards, then up, and while New Zealand keeps going, Australia's got this sudden drop. Okay, so I probably want to compare them, and then for Canada is probably more the sort of fluctuating, and then a gradual decrease, so you might want to throw them in at the end. So I kind of split it like that, I think. So once you've figured out what the main trends are, how you're going to split your countries up, how you're going to compare them, because comparing is very important in task 1, then you need to sort of think about your structure, which we know for task 1 like this should be your introduction, which should be your paraphrase, plus your overview of the main trends. Okay, you've got your trend 1, you've got your trend 2, and then you've got your conclusion. Okay. Actually, sorry. Okay, so I'm still on task 2 mode. You don't need a conclusion for task 1. Okay, so remember, you don't need to talk about everything, just the main focus. So let's take a look and see what this candidate's done. This chart illustrates the imprisonment number of 5 nations. The imprisonment number but you imprison people. So you probably say the number of imprisoned people. It's clearer to say. In 5 nations seen the years of 1930 to 1980. You could say over a 50-year period. That helps you with your paraphrase a bit. Overall, decreasing trend can be seen over time with some exceptions. Okay, I think this is a nice overview sentence. I would like to see it a bit more written as this overview, but I think that's a very nice trend that they picked out. The imprisonment of Great Britain stayed constant between the first 10 years before rising gradually over the last 40 years, then reaching the maximum in 1980. The maximum of what? Give me a specific number. Australia's imprisonment in 1930 was approximately 70,000, dropping to 50,000 in the next 10 years. After that, it increased until 1970 at 80,000, then dropped to 50,000 again. So again, you're talking about a fluctuation, are you? So make sure to use the word. You want to describe the trends, okay? Increase, decrease, fluctuation, gradual rise, drop off, gradual rise, level off. So if you're looking at it, so gradual rise and then drop off versus gradual rise then level off. Okay, so it's 2 different things. So you can describe that as a level off. The maximum imprisonment of the United States was more than 4 times greater than the minimum of Great Britain. I like this as a nice comparison here. On average, the United States had the greatest imprisonment out of all 5 nations. Another good comparison there. New Zealand started with its second highest number, but it halved within the next 10 years. Will climb to approximately 85,000 in 1980. With its second highest number, that's too vague. Be specific. Give me the number it had. Canada started off with its highest number of imprisonment of about 120,000. After some fluctuations, it ended up with about 3/4 of its starting number. Oh, and that's it. So what I would say, this really needs to be split into two paragraphs. And right now it just reads like a list. Like they're just looking at the graph and they're going through each country and they're just writing a list of what happened to each country. But it's not a really good way to compare the information or to show that you've really understood what the information is showing you. Okay, so I'd say this person needs more comparison. Okay, and it needs more like thought about the structure. Okay, the worst task ones to read are ones where the candidate's just listing off all the numbers that they see in the graph. Show me that you've thought about it a bit, like kind of like I did, that you've thought about, okay, well, I'm going to talk about this first because it kind of links together. I'm going to talk about this second because it kind of links together. So in terms of task achievement, they did complete the sort of major parts of the task. The overview was very short, so I'm a little bit worried about that. They did summarize the main features, but not super well. I'd probably give it 6 for that. Coherence and cohesion, probably 5.5, because it did just feel like a kind of like a list of sentences rather than like a planned summary. Vocabulary, there were some issues with plurals. They kept saying imprisons, 120,000. So vocabulary could improve a little bit. And also they were missing a lot of describing words: increase, decrease, fluctuation, sharp drop, sharp increase, and so on. Grammar was okay. It wasn't like super difficult. I understood everything that they wanted to say, so I'd probably give a 6 for grammar. So we're probably coming out around a 5.5 overall. Okay, because I guess I could see an argument for moving grammar down to 5.5. So I'm just looking back and I'm thinking, did they have a lot of complex sentences? Not really. Okay, so I would ask them to improve their complex sentences and link their sentences together a bit more. I think there's a lot of potential here. The person clearly thought about the graph a lot and they wrote some good information, but I would just like to see it look a little bit more planned and a little bit more formalized.